Hey guys, Andrew Kahler here. This is my girlfriend, Carrie Wong.
Hey.
Just wanted to say quick trigger warning. I swear a couple times in the video. That's it. Long story short, if you don't want to watch the whole video of me explaining what's going on currently with the whole China COVID situation, we're good. We're going on vacation in a week. Yeah, everything's fine. It's not chaos in the streets. But to get the full idea of what's going on, at least as far as we can explain it, please watch this video that went way longer than I thought it would. She thought it was going to go like an hour because she knows how I can.
Yeah.
How I can talk.
Yeah, like your podcast.
Right, like my podcasts. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you guys have any more questions, comment. Look, I'm using the vlogger hands, like in your vlogs. You know how they talk like this?
Oh. Yeah.
Subscribe to my channel. Like.
Down below.
Look at the comments down below.
Comment down below.
Comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click that little bell to get Anyway. Watch the video.
Yeah. Watch the video.
Or else. You're in it a little bit.
It's fine.
Hey everybody, so originally I was going to do like a live video, but I came to realize that Facebook Live and Instagram Live, or whatever those things are called, can't be done at the same time, which doesn't make any sense to me because they're both owned by Facebook. But so I was gonna have to do one on Facebook and then one on Instagram, which just seemed like more work than it was worth. So I decided to just do a video talking about what's going on in China in regards to COVID recently, and the lockdowns, all that kind of stuff. Just to get it out of the way at first, the reason I haven't been talking about it a lot online isn't because of like any sort of like censorship thing or really any other reason other than I'm just not spending a lot of time on social media these days, and that wasn't really even like a conscious decision. I'm just not really spending a lot of time on there. Yeah, that's literally the number one reason. So I first off just want to apologize to everybody that was reaching out to me concerned because I wasn't posting as much as I normally do. I just haven't been posting. That's the only reason. So I just want to give like a brief overview of what's been going on specifically this year. And first I want to share the things that I know, and then after that kind of get into the things that I think are happening. Because of course there's a lot of stuff that the media says, the US media, the Chinese media, things you hear like from friends and stuff, you don't really know what's what. So, you know, I don't want to just say everything's equal on like an equal level of reality. I can just share my personal experience, and then after that I'll share what I think is going on. So as you all know, we went into lockdown in April. They said it was going to last 4 days. That went into like about 2 months, a little over 2 months. I shared videos of just kind of the mess that was, and that's been happening, you know, all around China, more or less. Although it is worth noting, a significant percentage of Chinese people have just never been in lockdown. It's mainly been in the big cities, and Shanghai was one of the longest ones. So that happened. We got out of that. Since then, we've been tested regularly at my school. Until recently, we were getting tests every day. At school, we would just take 15 minutes out of class, go down, get the COVID test, and that was that. And then basically, like, if you get positive, then you go to like one of the COVID camps, which at first were not very nice, but if you were a foreigner, they sent you to the nicer ones, typically is how it went. But now it's basically they just send people to hotels that are paid for. You're just in a single room hotel by yourself. That's basically what's been going on. And then recently, in the last couple weeks or so, things started to ramp up because the number of cases started to increase. And so we thought, we being like me and my friends and my school sent us home for a couple days. Everybody kind of had the sense that maybe we were going to go back into lockdown again. So I stocked up on food again, I stocked up on water, stuff like that. And then these protests broke out. The reason that these protests happened specifically, because obviously there's a lot of things that go into it, specifically there was a fire in where? Ulamunshi. There was a fire that happened, and some people were not able to get out of the building that was on fire because of the COVID restrictions, meaning like the doors were locked and stuff like that. So these protests started breaking out all over the country. Huh?
I think the fire...
Sorry, Carrie's right here. So I told Carrie to sit on the side to jump in with any corrections that she had. So if you want to, you can come on. And I told her to correct me as soon as I was wrong. Literally, as soon as I start talking about one thing that factually happened. You can sit in.
I think, like, the fire, because none of us, like, went there to look if they're, like, if the government really locked the building. But, like, just people said, like, they have some pictures. So we don't know if it's true or not. But personally, I will believe it. But there is another reason, like, caused the fire, because they already called the firemen. But it's just because this city was in lockdown for like more than 100 days, I think.
Right. Yeah. Like 3 months or something like that.
Yeah, 3 months. So like no one. It's like every family's car was in the compound, like near the gate. So the fire car can't get in, like in a short time. So it takes about 1 hour, maybe. Like they still can't reach the fire, so they just let it fire, like burn. So,
right.
Yeah. It's just a few reasons, but I'm just like not sure if it's because they really locked the gate.
Right.
But we all know, like, the government they do lock the gate somewhere.
Right.
So
but the thing that we do know is the day after the fire happened, the city said, okay, no more COVID tests, lockdown's over, everybody can go, everything's fine. Which was kind of like, wait, what? How did that happen?
Yeah.
And so that led to all these protests that started happening. There was the whole white paper thing. People were holding up white pieces of paper as, because basically on WeChat, which is the Chinese version of Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything. It's like you use it for paying your bills. It's everything, and you can post on like a feed, and your friends can see it, but it gets censored like very quickly. And so as sort of a challenge to the censors, people started just posting pictures of them with white pieces of paper, and that started to get taken down as well. Right? I'm saying that correctly. Yeah. So then protests were happening all around China, mainly like in the cities. Like I don't think like the countryside were really doing anything about it. But I don't know. But at least for Shanghai, there were protests happening. The protests were not violent on the part of the protesters.
Not very violent, but they do like maybe touched each other,
Like the police.
yeah,
Well, I mean, because the police were beating the shit out of people.
yeah.
But I don't know if.
I don't know. Like there's so many like group. Like
Right.
first, you know, like
I'm just gonna make sure you're actually in the camera, but keep talking.
it's just like at the first there are just some people like they want to make how to say it, moral.
It started so the protests that were happening not only in Shanghai but in other places, they started on the road because basically every Chinese city, a lot of the street names are names of other cities, right?
Yeah.
So people started these like memorials on the name of the street that the city where the fire happened was happening.
Yeah.
So people started having a memorial, and then more people started showing up. Some people were very angry.
Like some like I know some of the like the influencers, they just want to like yeah, because I'm sure you already saw a picture like there are a group of police standing there, but they're just standing there, but they're just two Chinese like stand in front of that. I mean the picture is very like, how to say it?
It looks cool.
It looks cool, but
Right.
it's just like two influencers. They just
Right.
want to make this cool, so they
Yeah.
just like some. It's like, oh, let's.
They
just
go
do
get their
this.
photo and then
Yeah.
they leave
Yeah.
because they don't actually care.
Yeah, but I think they're like different people. I mean,
Right.
definitely some people who are very angry about this zero
Well, so
policy.
right, yeah. So people were mad about COVID. There were people at the Shanghai protests saying "fuck Xi Jinping," but and then a lot of the Western media was talking about it as well. But like it's like it's definitely an exaggeration to say like that's why everybody was there.
Yeah.
There were definitely some people there that were just like, whoa, like what are you talking about? Like I'm here. Like some people were there for the memorial. Some people were there because they're mad about COVID. Some people were there because they're like, fuck the Communist Party. Like we're gonna overthrow it. And other people are just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so like a lot of the stuff I'm seeing on the Western media, I'm like, it's kind of like over the top. But at the same time, like it's not totally their fault because they don't have anybody here that's like on the ground. And of course they want to push whatever story they want to push. But yeah, we're fine. We're going on vacation next week. Like we're traveling. Everything's pretty much fine. Oh, also another thing I was going to say. So then, like the people are saying then like, oh, these protests happened, so then they got rid of the COVID policy, and I don't know if that's true, but I will say like those protests did happen, and then literally like within a couple days, it's just like no more tests, no more health codes, like they're just getting rid of everything. It's like zero COVID is no more. They call it dynamic COVID, which basically just means like whatever the fuck you want to do. So there's really it's just kind of all over the place. So like it's hard to not say that those two things went together, but we also have no clue. But I do one thing I wanted to say, which I feel like you would also know better about this than me. A lot of the protests obviously are led by younger people. These are like facts that we know. I have no idea what the party is doing.
In
But
Shanghai, it's Chinese, it's young people. But I know, like besides Shanghai, like big protests happen in Beijing and Chengdu and Wuhan. I think I think in Wuhan or Chengdu, I mean the people are way more than this protest in Shanghai.
what do you mean?
It's like full of street, like
You mean there's more people?
more people and they're old people.
Okay.
Yeah, like normal people, everyone. They just like hate this zero policy and lockdown.
But would you say it was as like were the things you seen like that it was as aggressive? Because like the things I was saying was like the Shanghai protest was like the most aggressive version. But
what do you mean aggressive? Like in Guangzhou, like some men just take off the road barrier. They just take off. Like, how to say it? Like yeah.
Well, and so then that's one thing I was gonna say about like the whole the mass like problem with like people don't have jobs. But before we talk about that, you were just saying like you would be able to touch on this. There's Chinese people have like a reputation of like not protesting. They just like submit and like don't take anything from the government, and that's just like not really true in my experience. Like I think like Chinese people they're not gonna protest over like any little thing, but like the government, like as long as the government like keeps them safe and like leaves them alone, then they won't protest.
Yeah.
But if they don't feel safe and if they're not being left alone, then they're gonna protest.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what's happening, and that's what's happened like not just with COVID, but like that's just kind of the last like 100 years. Like keep us safe, leave us alone. It's fine. Like okay, like we don't have a lot of money, whatever. Like okay, we don't have water, whatever. Like we're like there's a lot of police. Like we don't have free speech. You know, it's not great, but whatever. But like if we're not safe and if we're not left alone, then like we're gonna
that's
problems.
What most Chinese people think.
Right.
Of course, like I think young people these days they're more like they want talking freedom.
Well, that was the second thing I was gonna say, where it's like we know for a fact that the young Chinese population in China it's like 30% unemployed right now, and you were saying the other day like 30% unemployed just means 30% is on unemployment, not 30% of people are unemployed. That just means there's way more people that are unemployed. There's not.
You have to register, so there will be the number.
Right. Yeah. So there's more than 30% of young people in China currently who are unemployed, which is like that's in a country of 1.4 billion people, especially with like China's like there's a lot of young people even for like a normal country.
Yeah.
At least 30% are on unemployment, but then there's there's obviously even more that aren't. So it makes sense then that they're on the streets, like doing the things that they're doing, because like what else are they supposed to be doing? Like
I mean, it's happening like just around my friends. Like so many of my friends lost their job.
Right.
So.
And your friends aren't even necessarily the most like free speech, like China sucks, like your friends are definitely more like
they would just complain about the economy.
Right.
And the COVID thing. Like they hate COVID, something like that. They won't like say maybe it's the parties, the government's problem, something like that.
Well, and that's another thing I wanted to say in the video as well, which I think we've definitely gone over 10 minutes, I think, because I said we could do it in 10 minutes, but I feel like it hasn't.
I think maybe 1 hour.
It won't be 1 hour. No, because so I just want to say this, and then I think we can be done. So that basically is our situation. But there were just some things I wanted to like say to like American people or to Western people in general. And if anything I'm saying sounds wrong, correct me, please. So Xi just won again. He just got reelected. So he's the general secretary of the Communist Party. He's not the president. Like that's something that like I didn't know was like bothered Chinese people. I don't know if that bothers you when people say that. But, like, the Western media is always just like, President Xi. And it's like, he's not the president. Like, he's the general secretary of the Communist Party. Which means, like, he's in charge of the military. He's the, like, not even, like, the head of the Communist Party. He's just, like, the head of, like, the group of people who, like, decide what happens.
Chairman.
Right. Which is, like, all just kind of, like, technicalities, but it's also, I don't know, it just annoys me because it just kind of shows how people don't really know what's going on in China. But anyway, so he got reelected. And so the way the COVID policy works is every city is responsible for their own COVID policy. So the Communist Party says zero COVID. What does that mean? It kind of just means like whatever each city decided means. So Shanghai handled it totally different from Shenzhen and Beijing. Every city handled it differently. Some of them handled it better, some of them handled it obviously worse. But like when they mess up, that's like on them, because like they have the power of the Communist Party, but they don't have like the direct rules. So like when they mess up, like that's on them. Or when they do good, then it reflects on the party. So it's like, so this whole, and again, like, and I'm not speaking for all Chinese people, or literally even any Chinese people, but just what you were talking about, from what you were hearing from people, is like they're not specifically mad at the Communist Party. They're not specifically mad at Xi. Like the idea of like, oh, let's get rid of Xi, like that wouldn't fix it, because Shanghai is the reason the Shanghai lockdown was so bad. Like they messed it up. Like they were the ones that did not plan for it, and then literally just lied to everybody. Said it was going to be 4 days. It was never going to be 4 days. Like it was their fault. And so like getting rid of one guy isn't going to fix it. Obviously, all that power comes. It's like a trickle down power system, but it's like they don't give direct orders, because then if those direct orders result in bad things, then everybody's gonna be like, oh well, they said to do this. But if they're just like, if they give them very vague things to do, and then it works, then it's like great. And if it doesn't work, then it's the fault of the person who enacted the policy, which makes sense from like a totalitarian
state. That's why
state.
people are angry, because like the center government, they don't like give a specific order and rules.
Right.
Yeah, they just like let out a letter, and all the local governments and read it and then like make their own rules.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is why then you can blame individual people.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, like this one person did this one thing. He just misunderstood what we wanted him to do. He's fired now. And then it's like, oh, like quote unquote, like problem solved. Even though like the harm is still done, the power structure is still there. Nothing's changed. It's just then they just replace it with somebody else. It totally makes sense. So then just like the last thing I wanted to say, because a lot of people message me and they'll be like, oh, like are you able to like talk like honestly about like what's going on? And of course like I can say yes, but you know, who knows? But you know, it's just like fascist like state, like authoritarian state, like yeah, like it's a one party system controlled by a couple dudes, specifically one dude, basically does whatever he wants, but then he like lets other people do what they're gonna do. Like it's not a good system, but you know, I haven't had COVID, and like I'm still having a good time here, like despite everything else. And and this is something I wouldn't have said a month ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. I do think things are getting better. Like we're traveling, like I said, we're traveling outside, like not outside of China, but we could actually, but we already planned a trip in China, so. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to add?
No.
As a Chinese person?
No.
Are you scared you're gonna go to prison for talking in the video?
A little.
Are you really, or is this just like you're just anxious always? Like,
what's anxious? Oh, I look anxious.
you just said you're nervous about going to jail.
Yeah, that was a joke.
Well, they don't know you. So. Yeah.
I didn't say like I'm against the party, something like that.
Right. We did not say that either.
Love China.
Now I can put the national anthem over this last part. You know.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That went way longer than I thought it would, but I hope I answered all the questions. You know. If you have more questions, let me know. Love you guys. Sorry for all the stress I'm putting everybody through. Bye-bye. Let's see how long that was.